Hello Totnes at John's, it's Mrs PA again with your maths challenge for Thursday. So on Tuesday we looked at introducing the game of Diffy. We talked about when numbers are quite close to each other, it's quite easy to take them away. However, when they're further away, it's easier to count up and use our addition skills and find the difference. Okay, this was the example that I showed you, and they were numbers I was really familiar with, didn't really have to do any workings out, whereas these numbers were a bit further away, and I talked to you about how I solved this Diffy. Okay, so we're thinking about today what you can do to extend this activity a little bit. You might just want to keep playing either on your own or with somebody else, that's absolutely fine. You might want to have a competition in your house and think about splitting off to work independently and seeing who can get the Diffy that has the most amount of squares. So I think the record in my class was 9, so it'd be really interesting to hear from people who got more than 9. Further up the school, you might want to extend the activity by using decimals or maybe starting with fractions or percentages and seeing how you get on with that. Another option is to try a Diffy investigation, which we started to do in my class, and we were trying to find out if there was a pattern that we could spot. So these are some ideas. So do you get more squares if you use just either even numbers or just odd numbers? So that would be about doing Diffys with just even numbers and then comparing them to ones with just odd numbers. Is there a pattern that you could spot? Do you get more squares if you use numbers that are really close together compared to ones where they're further away from each other? So thinking about maybe you're doing numbers, I don't know, that are all under 10 compared to numbers that are in the thousands and are really far away from each other. Is it always the case that you get more squares with one sort of category of numbers? Is there a pattern if you put the same types of numbers in the same position? So say for example if you put the odd numbers at the bottom and then the even numbers at the top, or it might be you put multiples of 10 at the top and then multiples of 3 at the bottom, I don't know. Can you find a pattern when you get the most amount of squares? So it may be that you end up doing 2 Diffys and you end up, I don't know, each of them get 9 squares each, which would be brilliant, or more would be amazing. Can you spot a pattern? So say for example, is it always like the biggest number is in one position, the smallest number is in another? Can you spot any kind of pattern? It would be really interesting for your teachers to hear about this, and hopefully they'll share that with me as well. When we've done an investigation, it's really important to think about how can you prove that something is true and how much evidence do you need. So doing something once or twice is not going to prove that it's definitely true. So when we were at school, we spent a couple of days of our maths lessons, so probably 2 or 3 hours looking at this. And by the end of it, the children in my class say that I think I can see a pattern starting to emerge, or it looks like it might be that this is a pattern I've spotted, because they didn't have enough time and enough evidence to prove that it was right. However, you're in lockdown now, so you have lots of time if this is something that you're really interested in. So thinking about getting enough evidence to prove that what you think is true, and it might be, I was thinking about Jack in my class, he asked a question and straight away he found out that it wasn't true. So what he decided to do is to change his question to see if the opposite was true. So say for example, if you use just odd numbers, you're always going to get more squares. Now he found out that wasn't true straight away, so then he switched it to if you just use even numbers, you're always going to get more squares. So it'd be really interesting to see what you do with this. So good luck, and please let us know how you've got on.